sure that we have to get through everything. All right, I'm just going to dive right into the agenda since we've got so much on it tonight. We'll go ahead and call on the redevelopment agency to start with their project at 1410 West Indiana Avenue.
Okay. Good evening, y'all. I'm Brone Seabright. I'm with the RDA. My colleague Austin might be joining us in just a little bit here. Yeah, we are here to just chat about one of the properties that we have over on Indiana Avenue. So as some of you in this group probably know, the RDA has established a project area in the 9-line area. It was established back in 2018. The trigger year for that was 2020 when we began collecting revenue in 2022. So given that the project is fairly new, we are in the early stages, and one of the things that we do with new project areas is focus on acquisition of individual pieces of land that can be helpful, what we call them, catalytic investments in the neighborhood. And so we have one of these at 1410 West Indiana Avenue. We're guided by the objectives outlined in the redevelopment agencies or the community reinvestment area plan. We have 4 objectives for the 9-line area: expand housing opportunities, compatible density, neighborhood, commercial, and community art. We have a survey out right now, and hopefully I can get that link for you in just a minute here. We've been getting some great responses. We've had over 300 responses. Almost the overwhelming majority are from Glendale and Poplar Grove. And so what we're coming for tonight is really just to ask the community what you're interested in seeing on that property. It's currently a vacant piece of land. The only requirement that we have when we purchased it is that there needs to be some kind of commercial component on it. But besides that, we're really just trying to hear from the community and what you'd like to see on that site, what types of services, commercial, housing, otherwise, that you're interested in seeing. And that's it for me. So if you want to provide us input, we'd be happy to take some of that tonight, but also we can circulate the survey and I can provide that link as well.
If you have suggestions or questions, feel free to just chime in. And the link to the survey is in the chat now.
Great, thank you.
I already responded to the survey, but I would just reiterate that from my own personal point of view and knowing some of the families in the area, having homes with garages and yards that could be given to first-time home buyers with maybe some financial assistance to get that down payment, that would be fantastic. I think it would help a lot of
in the Glendale community meeting now.
That's it.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, well, we will get the link to the survey out in our newsletter. We'll also put it out on social media and our website. Just make sure that it's out there. Thank you for coming.
Great, thank you.
I'm going to move on to the public art projects that Amy from the public art program at Salt Lake City is here to talk about. Amy.
Hi, everyone. I tried sharing my video, so hopefully you can see me. My name is Amy Childress, and I am the Public Art Coordinator for the Salt Lake City Arts Council. I'm just here to talk to you about a city-funded public art project that will eventually be installed at the future Glendale Park. For those who don't know, the future 21-acre park was formerly home to the popular Raging Waters Water Park, and it's adjacent to the Glendale Neighborhood Park. So you probably know where it is. It's the largest and the The new Glendale Park will be the largest public lands investment in Salt Lake City in more than 60 years. And it's funded by the voter approved parks, trails, and open space general obligation bond. So just a little background to this public art project. One of Mayor Mendenhall's 2023 goals was to create an iconic public art installation for the West Side that reflected the wishes, values, and goals of West Side neighborhoods and communities. So an important part of her goal was to make sure that West Side residents had input on what they wanted to see in the artwork and where they wanted it located. And so throughout the summer and fall of 2023, the public art program worked with the city's civic engagement team and various other departments to do extensive neighborhood engagement. You might have seen us at different community events. We were at the Fair Park Art Festival and numerous other events. And we also had a community conversation with West Side leaders last November and artists at the Glendale Library, which is where I am right now. So our engagement consisted of a variety of efforts. Like I said, we did in-person interactions. We had a survey specifically designed to receive input from West Side residents, and nearly 300 West Side residents, organizations, and stakeholders provided valuable insight, sharing their community values, public art ideas, and installation preferences. And so if you'd like to see the engagement report, after this, I'll share the link so you can see kind of what what feedback we got for that. And this engagement report is an important tool we have used in developing this project, and it will be the departing point for the commission artists to use and immerse themselves in the West Side. Let's see. And then this past summer, Glendale Park was selected as the site for this iconic piece of art. And factors such as accessibility, visibility, and community impact were considered when determining Glendale Park as the ideal placement for this project. And West Side residents indicated they wanted to see this piece placed near the Jordan River Trail, and they wanted it to become a gathering place for the community. And so this public art commission is being funded by the Salt Lake City Council and voter approved parks, trails, and open space general obligation bond, and a special allocation for a West Side installation by the Salt Lake City Council. And this public art project represents one of the most significant artistic and cultural investments in Salt Lake City, and it will be the biggest on the West Side. The commission budget for this project will be $425,000. In July, we opened the request for qualifications, which officially closed mid-August, and we got 145 national and Utah artists applied to be considered for this project, and they're currently being reviewed by our art design board. And so just staff of the Arts Council don't actually pick any of the artists or the artwork. We have an art design board that does that, and we also work with community stakeholders. So we have West Side community stakeholders right now that will be reviewing these applications. And so a major goal for this project and why I am here today is that community involvement and engagement by West Side residents be a part of this project. And so the public art program plans on selecting an artist or artist team that demonstrates a commitment to leading community engagement efforts with the Salt Lake City's West Side communities and actively involves them in the design process to ensure authenticity, cultural relevance, and meaningful representation in the artwork. So the selected artist or team will be responsible for developing their designs and concepts in close collaboration with West Side residents. So this collaboration aims to maximize the commission's community impact, ensuring that the resulting artwork authentically represents the West Side. So this project is very special for us because we've never done a proposal process like this before. From the 145 artists that have applied, the art design board committee and the community stakeholders will select 3 artists to come to Salt Lake for an interview. And during this interview, the board will focus on how each artist or the artist team plans to engage and work with Westside residents during the designing of the artwork. And so if you'd like to get updates or be a part of this future of participating in the engagement for this artwork and the design of it, I'll put in our website, and you can just scroll down all the way to the bottom and just sign up for our newsletter. I'll also put the Public Art Program's website, and you can follow us on Instagram as well. So when we start needing or wanting to engage or have the artists engage with the community, we'll be posting those notifications and probably attending these meetings again so you can meet the artist that will be designing this public art piece. Are there any questions?
I have a question. When do you think the decision will be made as to which artists might be responsible?
So the 3 artists will be chosen September 6th. And all of our art design board meetings, so this is our monthly art design board meeting, are open to the public and they're online. So you're welcome to join online as well. And then I believe I believe all of the interviews will be public as well. And then I believe they'll select in December or January.
Amy, could you kind of talk about maybe what the scale of this would be? You talked about an iconic art piece. Are we thinking like the whale or like what size?
Yeah, well, just for comparison, the whale commission was 100, I believe it was 160,000. I could be off, or 150. And this one is 425,000. And so we can go big. And so it's really exciting to have such a budget for a project like this. So yeah, think of the whale, but then think bigger.
Thank you. Any other questions for Amy? I don't see any. Thank you for coming, Amy. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep. Real quick, I have another update from Salt Lake City Parks and Public Lands. I'm going to give it now instead of during our community updates because I think it's relevant since we're talking about Glendale Park and Glendale Regional Park. The email that I got today says Public Lands has secured a contractor for the construction, and construction will begin on September 3rd. It is expected it's going to be done in 2 phases. Phase 1 is expected to be completed by summer 2025. In the first phase, an all ages, all abilities playground with assistive technology will be built, a full basketball court. The looped walking pathways will be built. Conversion of half of the tennis courts into 12 pickleball courts will be completed. The shaded canopies and the picnic lawn and parking will all be constructed by summer 2025. The remaining park features, including the pool and a variety of other ones, will be completed in phase 2, which is expected to begin in 2026 and wrap up in 2027. So I wanted to give that since we were just talking about Glendale Regional Park and Glendale Park. With that, let's move on. Livable Streets. I think, Kyle, are you here representing them?
Yes.
Okay, great.
All right, I'll share my screen real quick. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, we can see it.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Kyle Irvin. I'm with the Salt Lake City Transportation Division, here to talk to you about Livable Streets. It is a neighborhood traffic calming program that we're starting to implement citywide, and our goal is to improve the traffic safety and comfort of your local neighborhood streets. What is traffic calming? Traffic calming encompasses a wide variety of tools in our toolkit. It can be anything from raised crosswalks and speed bumps to traffic circles, upgraded crosswalks, that kind of stuff. So a little bit on the background of the program. we established a process that's data-driven, transparent, and equitable to build traffic calming in areas of the city that are most in need. And so we divided the city up into 113 different zones and ranked them based on crashes, speeds, traffic volumes, access to community assets, and socioeconomic data such as household vehicle ownership. Here is a quick screenshot of this area of the city, Glendale, Poplar Grove, the southern west side. The lower numbers are higher priority, and so our team is actively working on zones 1 through 9, and we're starting on engagement for zones 10 through 19 here shortly. As you can see, a lot of these zones are in the Glendale neighborhood. 3, 4, and 9, we have some conceptual designs that I can dive into here. Another piece of background information is that this traffic calming program is really focused on local streets, meaning that they have 30 miles an hour posted speed limit or less, 3 or fewer vehicle travel lanes, and then they need to have a residential land use component adjacent to the street. And so we don't really want to be putting traffic calming in industrial zones, that kind of thing. Here is a brief map of zone 9, which is I believe this is in Poplar Grove. It's between 4th South and Indiana, and then the east-west extents are Redwood to Cheyenne. The blue dots you'll see here are a combination of speed humps and raised crosswalks, and then those 2 red dots I've got some zoomed in maps. This is a raised crosswalk with some bulb outs, just shortening the crossing distance and adding some traffic calming in front of the school here. And then on 8th South and Redwood, we heard from the community that a lot of people take this turn really quickly off Redwood and speed down 8th South. So we're looking at shortening up the crossing distance a bit and adding a median there as well. I have a bunch of these slides. I'm not sure how valuable they are to you all, but I'll run through a few others. This is over by the Sorensen Unity Center on 8th West and 13th South. We're adding a bulb out to shorten up the crossing distance there. This is also in that same area, but on 9th West, just south of the California Avenue intersection. Similar bulb outs to shorten the crossing distance at a signalized crosswalk we have for the school and the Sorensen Unity Center. This is over on 9th West and 5th South in Poplar Grove. This one's going to be some pretty large bulb outs, and we're looking at squaring up this northern section of the crossing here. Just to shorten the crossing distance in all directions and hopefully calm traffic as they leave 9th West into local neighborhood streets. And a very similar one, just 1 block south on 6th South. This one is a neighborhood byway, which are a network of local streets that we're making improvements to make it easier to walk and bike around. And so this one includes some bike ramps you can see on either corner here. So a cyclist would just use this bike ramp to get on the sidewalk and push the pedestrian push button to light up the flashing signs, cross the street, and use the bike ramp on the other side to get across the street safely. So this program is community driven, and we're right now looking for feedback on any transportation issues that affect your neighborhood, particularly if there is a street that feels really unsafe to cross, or you notice a location where there's a lot of speeding vehicles. We want to hear about it. And so this is a QR code that will take you to our website where we have a survey. And then we also have email and phone number and all of our contact information listed on the website. Please get in touch with us. We're actively planning traffic calming for a lot of the Glendale neighborhoods. And so your feedback is crucial to the success of this program. Any questions?
You've got questions, just go ahead and go.
I do have a question. Is there any implementation of like gathering feedback from residents post implementation of some of these traffic calming features?
I would like to include that. We haven't gotten to the point yet. Right now, we're working with our engineering team to actually build some of this stuff, and I would love to incorporate post-construction feedback as well. But we're definitely looking into doing some before and after traffic studies as well to make sure that the traffic calming that we're building is actually effectively calming traffic.
That would be great. I know that we've already had some traffic calming on what Sarah's saying, 800 West, between 1300 South and 900 South. And so it would be great to get community feedback on what the community thinks about it.
Yeah, that zone is coming up relatively soon, within the next year or two, I anticipate. And that is a great alternative to 9th West, and I think would be a great candidate street for traffic calming. Sarah, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, and here's a funny switch. It's actually Matthew, Sarah's partner. But just reiterating that 8th West between 13th and 9th has a lot of people who speed down it. And north of the 9 line, it is one of the bikeways, a designated bikeway. The designated bikeway stops at the 9 line, but a lot of people still bike through. So if you're looking for multimodal travel, a lot of people bike on 8th West, but there's no traffic calming on that section. So any efforts at traffic calming would affect both helping pedestrians, but also aiding cyclists and residents of the neighborhood.
Totally agree, and that's how we're trying to approach it as well. Though this program is mostly focused on traffic calming, which means slowing down vehicles on neighborhood streets, you can build it in a way that makes it more pleasant for people on bikes and people walking to get around at the same time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, I don't see any. Thank you, Kyle, for being here.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to the folks representing Via Rio Grande. I have Edric on my list, but oh, it's Matthew. Okay.
Can you see me?
Yes,
Okay, great. Can I share my screen?
you should be able to.
Excellent. All right, can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. All right, yeah, my name is Matthew Givens. I represent a citizen group called the Via Rio Grande, and we are advocating for the Rio Grande Plan, which is a really big idea that's completely grassroots at this point, and it's something that affects everyone in Salt Lake and even in Utah. And we just wanted to go out to the community councils and engage with the community. And we also have a public event, I should say, on September 12th at the Swords and Unity Center. If you want to talk with us and with other officials about this. And so let's get into it. Let's see, there we go. Yeah, so we just want to present what is the idea of the Rio Grande Plan, what are the possible benefits, and then just answer any questions that you might have. So right now, we all kind of know about the railroad crossings, and there's this underutilized rail yard in the middle of Salt Lake City. There are 8 at-grade public crossings through downtown. There's about 500 daily activation events. So every day the trains come through to put the crossing guards down. And we're projecting that this will be up to about 800 by 2030 with increased front runner. They're double tracking front runner in sections and trying to double the frequency, and then also longer freight trains, more freight trains because of the inland port and other things. And then there's measurable pollution from idling, and at least 8 people have actually been killed on these crossings since we started advocating for the plan in 2020. And there's also multiple block streets where you actually just can't even go through. So this kind of causes a socioeconomic divide, among other things. And so, something like 50,000 cars cross these tracks daily. And also, bus routes can't be planned across them. Emergency services have to account for this. It causes all sorts of issues. And also, at the center of it all, we have kind of a lack of a world-class train station at the center of our city. It has no bathrooms, shelter, amenities, or anything like that. So other places have these great stations. So here's Grand Central, Union Station in DC, Union Station in Denver, Union Station Chicago, Union Station Cincinnati, and then in Salt Lake we have Salt Lake Central. which became our Amtrak station in 1999. It's currently a front runner station. The track's blue line goes there. There's some bus services, and it was really the Amtrak part was actually built as a temporary station. It's still there. It's like it's a double wide, triple wide trailer that was never improved. And in 1998, the city council moved the station here and pulled up the tracks before the Olympics in 2002, because they were actually running down the center of the street on 5th West. So, this is kind of what it looks like right now. It's not a very useful station because you can also transfer to front runner at North Temple, and most people do. So part of our proposal is, well, we have this beautiful train station on 5th West. It was built in 1910 to compete with the other beautiful train station that's part of the Gateway now, the Union Pacific Depot. It's owned by the state of Utah. It was damaged in the 2020 earthquake, but it's being seismically upgraded and repaired right now. And there's really no future use for this building other than as an obstacle on 3rd South. And it was the home of Utah State Historical Society. I think they're mostly planning on moving to the new office building that's under construction at the Capitol. And so what is the Rio Grande Plan? Well, on this map, you can see in the pink where the current railroad tracks are, and they kind of jut out west and then also spur out to the west, and go by the future potential Major League Baseball stadium area, the Power District. And you can see where it says Delta Center, you can see where that SEG Entertainment District thing is going to happen. And then the train tracks actually used to go along this black historic rail corridor, and before they were moved to the pink. So the idea of the Rio Grande Plan, well, let me just show you where all the blocked crossings are right now. And these lines represent the big freeway viaducts that go over the tracks. So there's one on North Temple, 4th South, 5th South, 6th South. And these are all there because of the railroad tracks ultimately. And then there's grade crossings where all the X's are. And so the Rio Grande Plan says, okay, let's take these tracks and get rid of the rail yard, because Union Pacific actually has 2 other rail yards, north and south, and move all of the pass-through heavy rail tracks into what we call a train box, or a trench, basically, that you could cover back on top on 5th West. So where that black line is. And then trains would be able to go through downtown and to the west without blocking any traffic for that entire stretch, including, the 9 line and now 9th South, North Temple, all the way up to, I think, 6th North. And what this would do is open up all of this land to be redeveloped, to be, turned into green space and housing, all these other things, because the land is almost completely owned by Union Pacific, UTA, and the state. And so the freeway bridges could be removed and cut back to the freeway, and this could basically remove the railroad crossing issue, and then also return passenger service to the Rio Grande Depot, where you can see kind of a section cut of it there where trains would stop below grade, and then also the freight trains would pass through unobstructed. And so here's some potential benefits for West Side residents. So like I said, 8+ railroad crossings to be grade separated. That the plus is the block streets that would be reopened. So there'd be no more getting stuck at crossings. Even a couple north-south crossings are included. I think 8th West and 9th West. The freeway bridges can be removed and replaced with regular streets. Fewer incidents and deaths due to rail crossings. Better access to downtown and beyond via your chosen mode of transportation. Better emergency response times. Better east-west bus routing. Easier access to the central rail station and district. It could have all kinds of new things. And what's remarkable about this is it wouldn't require demolishing of a single housing unit to get this done. And the redevelopment will also clean up all the contamination of the areas under the rail yard. And then, you know, in its place, you know, 75 acres of land or more could be open to redevelopment, which could help pay for the actual cost of doing this over time. And that the federal government would also probably be able to pitch in quite a bit. And like this says, the land value under the rails right now is valued at like $17 million, but by 2040 it could be $2 billion. And this is coming from Salt Lake City's Kimley Horn. They did they funded a study. The city government funded a professional engineering study that came up with some of these numbers. So I'm not just making them up. Kimley Horn was the contractor that did the study. And a lot of other property around there, the Granary District and so on, could be improved by this as well. And there's sort of precedent for this in Denver. If you've ever been to their Union Station in the area around it, it's a very similar situation. And this area is really the nexus of our entire state. It's literally the crossroads of the West, and something like 160,000 cars go through it daily. And all the transportation modes kind of can coincide there. And so the Rio Grande Plan is a completely grassroots idea to bring together the two halves of Salt Lake. It wouldn't get rid of the freeway, but the freeway is grade separated, so you're not actually walking across the freeway. The rails that we're talking about have to be grade separated eventually. It's actually in UDOT and UTA's plan to do that for the front runner so that they can run their trains faster. And really, other than the cost, which is substantial, I think the study said $3 to $5 billion. There's, and you know, potential construction impacts. There's really few downsides to this because it doesn't displace anyone. It doesn't, you know, it's not a top-down thing, and a lot of stakeholders can come together. And the Rio Grande Depot can once again fulfill its original purpose as a train station. And it would be poetic if the 2002 Olympics took the rails from the depot and 2034 could bring them back. And it is a large public investment, but there's clear benefits. And I think the federal government would see that. And tax increment financing, like I said, where the revenue generated from land value improvement could go toward paying back whatever it takes to do this, could greatly offset the cost. And that's not true of something like a freeway expansion. So like a similar project that the state is funding completely on its own is the I-15 expansion from Farmington to Salt Lake. And that's not going to generate any direct revenue. So something to keep in mind. And really, we're pushing for this now because we think as other things develop in this area, you know, the opportunity to do this is going to diminish over time. And it's really kind of it brings everything together. So, yeah, with that, if there are any questions, feel free to ask. And if you really like this idea and want to talk about it more, come to our event. And we would welcome a letter of support if you're interested in that. So thank you.
Kyle, go ahead.
Hi, Matthew. Love the Rio Grande Plan. I'm wondering what the plan, and this might be too early of a question, but what is the plan to continue moving Union Pacific's trains through while the train box is being constructed?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think this sits right on a very important, you know, main line. And it would, if there isn't a solution to that, then I think that would kind of torpedo this whole idea. But I think that there are, and we've looked at this. One of our main contributors is Christian Lenhart, who came up with the plan, and he has some really good ideas for this. I think other places like Reno have done similar projects like this, and there are ways of getting freight trains through. I think they're called shoe fly routes, where you build temporary alignments. There's also other alignments that they can possibly use to get freight trains around downtown. while this is under construction. I think it's a solvable problem. I don't think it's something that'll necessarily preclude this. But yeah, it's a really good question, and it would need to be worked out if this was to proceed.
Great, thank you. I see Christian biking on 6th East like weekly. I always yell at him, Rio Grande.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he could fill you in on more detail if you're interested.
Matthew, can you repeat the time that the presentation will take place at the Soren Center on September 12th, please?
Yeah, I think it's 6 p.m. If Jesse's here, he could correct me, but I think that's right.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Matthew, do you have a flyer for that event?
Yeah, in fact, we have a page you can go to. Let me see if I can share it.
We'll make sure we get that out and share it in advance.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the chat. Here, I have. Let me know if that works.
It does. So we'll make sure we get this out.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And then I also just wanted to mention to the community that we plan to write, the community council plans to write a letter of support for this. I wanted to let folks present before we did that, but we are planning to support it. UTA released a plan to build a building as kind of an alternative to this, and a little underwhelming. So yeah, we're excited to support.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's awesome. I think UTA's been planning to build a new headquarters for a long time, and I think it makes sense for what they have to work with, and I think it'll be a nice building, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the final the final solution to the problem. So I don't think that precludes us in any way. I don't think it was all designed in any way to undercut the Rio Grande Plan. I think they've wanted to do that for a long time.
Any other questions for Matthew? All right, well, thank you. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We're going to move on to our community updates. I'm going to start. eBay, do you want to talk about Jazz at the Park? Or Sarah, whichever one of you would like to.
Go for it, eBay.
All right, let me unmute here. All right, hello. I know quite a few folks that are on here, but for those that I haven't met, my name's eBay Hamilton. I am a longtime resident of the West Side. I grew up in Poplar Grove and have been living in Glendale since '09. And I started attending meetings a while back and got involved with Sarah Wolf and the Glendale Art Committee, where there's just a few of us, and we wanted to start, trying to add some more events. And this year we are trying something brand new, which is a Jazz at the Park event that's going to happen over at the International Peace Gardens. For those who've been in the area for a while, the Peace Gardens didn't always have that large concrete slab that is sort of that large stage. And when they put it in, I think there was the intention of it being programmed with lots of events and music, and I don't think they've seen as much as they had hoped. So part of this is also just to do some cool things with the Peace Gardens. But Jazz in the Park, it'll be this Sunday from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. right there on that large stage and kind of in that little corner area there. There is three bands booked. There's a group called Sun Puppy going on at 3:15. They sort of do these jazzy instrumental covers of like hip hop and soul and other music. There's a couple of legends. I'm not even really entirely sure how I got these guys to agree to it, but Kenji Ihara, who is he's an amazing guitarist. He's originally from Japan. He came to Utah after high school on a scholarship to go to, I think, Weber, where he was a classical guitar major and doing jazz guitar. And he's just been playing around forever. He's great. And he is performing with an artist who is originally from Brooklyn and moved to Salt Lake City, it sounds like decades ago, but a pretty well-known saxophone player from Brooklyn and the free jazz movement out there named Alan Brofman. Alan just put out a new record earlier this year that was reviewed on NPR and Pitchfork and Mojo Magazine and a bunch of other places. So Alan and Kenji are both performing at 4:30. That's guitar and sax. And then a group called Subconscious 3, which is led by Willis Clow and Joe Chisholm, who have both been performing in Utah for as long as I can remember, decades. I've seen them performing different projects. And this is their latest. It's a 4-piece. They'll be going on at 5:45. So this is some pretty serious jazz and solid musicians. I think it's going to be a great experience to have jazz music in the Peace Gardens in that setting. The weather's looking really nice. I think we're expecting a high of 77, 78, something like that. Maybe 20% chance of some light rain. Shouldn't be too bad. We also have a couple of community partners that are going to be there, and some artists that are going to be there. Moni Ellie Art, she's has a booth over at the farmers market every week. She does these great little nature paintings, really small miniature paintings to large scale paintings, some pretty cool stuff worth checking out. And then if you've been to 43 Bakeries Market that they've been doing, they've had an artist who's based out of Rose Park named Sarah Moses, who's been doing these really cool watercolor portraits that you can pay to get a little portrait done of yourself while you're there. She'll be there. Spy Hop will be there. We've got food trucks there. Balabe, Senegalese cuisine will be there. And another food truck that I don't have written down in front of me, but definitely come hungry and listen to some great music, and it should be awesome. 43 Bakery sponsoring. This is an ACE grant as well. So the Salt Lake City Mayor's office, the ACE fund, coming from them. And yeah, hope to see a lot of Glendale folks out. It should be a good time. Oh, and I should also mention that the following week, KRCL, the radio station I'm with, we're doing another event there as well on Saturday, September 7th.
And just one last note on the Jazz in the Park is that if any of you know Gilberto, he's been really adamant about making something happen with the Peace Labyrinth area along the Jordan River Parkway. So that project is called Peace Labyrinth Go Bond Project. So he's going to be setting up a booth at that event too, so you can learn about what the plans are for kind of re-envisioning that area around the Peace Labyrinth along the Jordan River.
Quick question, Sarah and eBay. Should folks bring their own chairs? Or
Yes.
sit on okay.
Bring a camp chair or a blanket with you. We're not going to have chairs out in that lawn area, but it's a great place to, lay out a blanket or bring a chair. So yeah, definitely plan to have something if you need it.
Thank you. Thank you both for organizing it. Any questions?
Is there a link to this second event next Saturday?
The Day in the Park, yep. If you go to krcl.org, we have it right on our homepage. You'll see a large poster, Day in the Park. And yeah, that'll be Saturday, September 7th from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and move on. Is NeighborWorks, Neighborhood House, or Sorensen Community Center represented tonight? This is our chance for community updates. So if you're the community group and you have an update, please feel free to jump in as well. Not seeing anybody. Okay. I have one final community update from the Community Council. The builder of the Tejadas Market project, the townhome project, has received their demolition permit. So I would expect the old Tejadas Market to be demolished in the coming month or so. And then construction on that site will begin. I don't have final dates or anything, but where they've gotten their they've gotten their demolition permit, I expect construction's gonna start in the next month, month and a half. I know that folks are worried about that site and that's become kind of a problem with vandalism and different things, so it is moving forward. And the information on that project is on the Glendale website, glendaleslc.org, and then you'll go to updates. It's on there if you want to see the updated plan for Tejada's Market. Let's see. We'll move on. Alicia from the mayor's office.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Do I share my screen or do you have my slides, Turner? How do we do this?
Whatever you prefer. I'm happy to run the slides if you want, or
That'd be
or
great,
Jenny can.
please. Will you
Jenny, I'll let you do that.
Okay, thank you.
Just a second, we'll get it pulled up.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
now we can.
I'm having a problem sharing it. Can you take care of that, Turner?
Yes, I will do that. I wonder if it's because you're running the live stream. Give me just 1 second, Alicia.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, can everyone see that, or is it showing the host version?
We can see it.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you, Turner. Hello, everyone. My name is Alicia. I am your community liaison to the mayor's office. I hope everyone's had a wonderful summer thus far. Next slide, please. Turner did the honors of providing some information and updates from public lands on the Glendale Regional Park. And to complement his information, I want you to know that I touched base with the outreach team from Public Lands, and we'll be doing some canvassing next Tuesday, August 27th from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. with the flyer that's posted right there on the slide. It has been translated into Spanish, so it's bilingual. And so we are focusing on Tuesday and possibly even Wednesday to go around the neighborhood and give them updates and tell them of the possible impacts from the construction, or if they have any questions or concerns, then it's a good time for us to talk to the neighbors. Next slide, please. On Monday, August 19th, the Salt Lake City Police Department joined Mayor Aaron Mendenhall, the Salt Lake City School District Superintendent, Dr. Grant, and the Mountain View Elementary School Principal, Jason Finch, to announce the city's Operation Safe Passage. Chief Brown mentioned that as police officers, they have a critical responsibility to help ensure the safe passage of children as they head back to school. And so 2 schools were identified for this year's operation, which were Mountain View Elementary School and Nibley Park School. The initiative will include highly visible marked patrol officers who will saturate the identified areas to help serve as a deterrence to any type of crime. The increased patrols continue for this week and will include traffic education and enforcement, bike and walking patrol, and highly visible police presence throughout the neighborhoods near the schools. Officers from the police departments, Liberty Bike, Central and Pioneer Bike Squads, Motor Squad, and school resource officers will be participating in this week-long event. Next slide, please. So coming in September, the Granaries historic area, which combines oriented businesses, housing, commercial development, will have its area converted into a pedestrian promenade every Friday and Saturday for the entire month of September. The open streets event will be happening from 3 to 11 p.m. The streets on 500 West between 700 and 800 South will be closed off and vehicles will be diverted to make way for pedestrians. And also to enjoy live music, enjoy food, drinks, There will be street soccer, which I'm very super excited about it. And kids activities will happen from 4 to 10 p.m. Additionally, on that same street on 500 West, from 700 South to 900 South, there will be a green loop demonstration that will increase space for walking and bicycling by narrowing the road. The temporary installation of a green loop is a linear park network concept that originated from community interest in a greener downtown and a priority of Mayor Mendenhall's administration. Next slide, please. So, new parking pay stations will be replacing nearly 270 machines that are over a decade old and are spread throughout the downtown core of Salt Lake City. The new pay station machines will feature several upgrades, including an easier to use touchscreen interface. Additionally, the interface will include multiple language options, including Spanish, Vietnamese, and Mandarin. The new machines will be installed by the contracted vendor in phases beginning on August 12th until early October. Next slide. Thank you. The two upcoming events for this Saturday is the Kensington Street Festival, which is scheduled from 2 to 8 p.m. on Kensington Avenue, and also join neighbors at the Sure House Rocks, which is also on Saturday, August 24th from 11 to 4 p.m. And I'm sure that both of them will be exciting events for you to join with families and friends. So the last piece of news that I have, which you can turn to the next slide, please. It's not featured there, but I did want to mention that I was on a selection committee with Turner, which was the facade grant, which is also named the Neighborhood Business Improvement Program, NBIP. And it's one of the resources offered by Salt Lake City's Housing Stability Division to strengthen neighborhoods. It offers up to $50,000 in grants to improve facades of businesses, to increase the appeal of properties and also boost the economy on the local level. For just a quick wrap up on this, there were, based on District 2, 4 businesses received the facade grant, and one of them is located in Glendale. It's the Acapulco Market. They are located on the corner of Indiana Avenue and Pueblo Street, I believe. I don't know if you want to talk more about that, Turner, but I'm very excited that they got approved, and it was a successful year of advocating for more businesses on the west side to receive this grant. And that is my contact information. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, I am open for those tonight. If not, you can always email me or call me or text me. And that is it on my end.
Thanks, Alicia. I don't have updates on the neighborhood business program, but I have invited the folks that run that program to come talk about the grants that were awarded in the neighborhood. They were not available tonight, but we plan on having them hopefully in September.
That's
for
wonderful.
our meeting, maybe some of the business owners as well.
Thank you, Turner.
Thanks. Any questions for Alicia? All right. We will move on. Oh, sorry.
I don't know if this would be within your realm of expertise, or maybe we should just talk about it generally, or maybe another time, but just wondering about the school closures and any idea on the latest update about Riley Elementary, especially.
I don't have updates on that specific topic. I believe Riley was one of the schools that was going to be closed down. So that's all I know.
So Riley closed effective this school year, so it's no longer open. And then the kids that were going to Riley basically were split. And so some of them are now going to Parkview and some of them are now going to Mountain View, as well as other schools. We have open enrollment, so families can choose the school that works best for them. But for the folks that are following the boundaries The boundaries now direct most of the kids to Parkview and the other half essentially to Mountain View Elementary. And it was Riley Elementary School, Hawthorne, Benyon, and Mary W. Jackson that were closed effective starting this school year, which began earlier this week.
Turner, this is Sarah. I had just read about, and I don't know if it's been approved or not, but funding for renovations of West High School and I can't remember High Point High School. I can't remember what the other high school was, but what's the status of that?
Yep, so the school board has elected to put a $730 million bond on our ballots for November. We're also planning to have someone from the district come and present on that bond at our September meeting. They took action on that only a couple of weeks ago, and there wasn't time to get them on this agenda, but we are planning either September or October to have them come present on what that bond would look like. I will, in a minute, I'll dig and find the FAQ that the district has on the bond, but basically it would fund the reconstruction of West High School, Highland High School, and new sports facilities for East High School, as well as a few other investments that I can't think of right off the top of my head, but I will get that FAQ link and post it in the chat. And then, like I said, we are planning to have them come present either in September or October at our next couple of meetings.
That's great. I am curious too, like if that might mean that some of the kids that live on the west side that are currently going to East High might then be able to go to West High and not have to commute so far. But that's a big.
So, yeah, families can choose to send their kids to any school in the district that works for them. So they can choose to go to East High or West High or Highland, but then they're responsible for transportation.
Turner, will a community that was proposing for a high school in Glendale be invited to talk about their alternative plans if considering that there won't be that the bond will not support a creation of a new high school in Glendale? Will they be invited to discuss what their plans are or what their response is to this decision?
Yes, they were actually meeting tonight. That group of parents and organizers met, I think, at 6 o'clock tonight before our meeting. We plan to have them at the same meeting, whichever one we can get the district to. So we'll likely spend most of our time talking about that topic.
Okay, thank you.
And then there's one other item that may be of interest. The Salt Lake County Council also elected to put a bond on our ballot in November. It's around $500 million, and it would fund public safety, mental health services, and kind of a variety of other things to address gaps in the criminal justice system. I don't have a lot of information on that bond, but again, we're going to plan to have someone come present on that either in September or October. And just as a reminder, in a bond election, basically there's an item on your ballot asking you, shall Salt Lake City School District bond in the amount of $730 million? Basically, they're asking you as a taxpayer to vote for a property tax increase to fund a given item, and they have to stick to what they're asking you to vote for. So if we vote to approve the bond, they can't turn around and change what they're spending the money on. It has to go toward what was bonded for. There is some wiggle room, but they cannot change. So for example, if we bond to rebuild Highland and West High School, they couldn't change it and say, oh, well, we're going to build another high school instead. They would have to go forward with what they told folks on the ballot. And we'll have them, both them and the public safety bond representatives at either September or October's meeting, whenever we can work the timing out with them. I'm going to move on to Detective Oliver, but before I do that, just real quick, heard from Representative Romero and some of our state representatives and senators. Representative Romero is in Chicago tonight at the Democratic National Convention. And so is Alejandro Puy, our council member. And so they'll both be at our September meetings, and they send their regrets that they weren't able to be here tonight. With that, let's move on to our final presenter, Detective Oliver.
All right, so I got a new computer, and it looks like my video actually works. So this is a first. Sorry to scare y'all. Any questions or concerns that you've seen in the last 2 months? Because it's been a little while since we all met. All right, we'll get into the numbers then.
Thank you.
We're just gonna look at July's numbers for Glendale. Year to date, we're seeing an increase, and the increase is not a positive thing for what we're seeing. There has been an increase of 1 homicide year to date. That's just till the end of July. Again, end of July, we'll get the numbers for August here coming up soon. But we've seen 1 homicide in Glendale more than we saw last year to this point. We have seen an increase in just 1 robbery in the last year, in the year to date, which is minimal, but that's still an increase. We've seen aggravated assaults, both family and non-family, go up. The non-family has actually gone up by 10, which is not encouraging right now as well. So total violent crimes, we've seen an increase of 18% year to date. Now, property offenses, non-violent crimes, we've seen an increase in everything but vehicle burglaries. We've seen a dramatic decrease in vehicle burglaries, but we've seen an increase in residential burglaries. We've seen an increase in burglary of outbuildings, and we've seen motor vehicle theft go up and larceny theft go up. And all those, by the biggest increase, of course, is residential burglary, and that's 133% year to date. So that's discouraging, especially when it comes to burglaries of residential. We see an increase in the spring because of the warmth. People leave their windows open, leave the doors open. It's really easy access. And now that it's been 100 degrees for the last 18 years, I swear, it's been really warm. So that kind of led to some of the burglary issues as well. So in all, grand total, we are up 3.7% after all that. So we've up year to date, we have seen an increase in 20 more property and violent crimes. Now, if you do a 3-year average, over a 3-year average, we're actually down. So that's the good thing. We're down by 21% over a 3-year average, but compared to last year, we are up. Any questions on those numbers for July?
Would it be possible to have the gang sergeant come with you in September to our meeting?
Yes, and I totally forgot. It's been 2 months. Yes, Sergeant Ties will come. And he actually said he would be to this meeting too, and I forgot to remind him. So that's on me, but he will come in September, absolutely.
Thank you. And Greg, would you mind asking your question verbally so that it's captured by the recording?
Sure. I was just wondering if we have any indication of whether any of the violent crimes are gang related.
I would, and I'm going to let Sergeant Ties talk to this next month, but I think the homicides are gang related. And a lot of the aggravated assaults are probably also gang related, but I'm going to let him kind of focus in on that, because that's what he's I guess the knowledgeable one on is the gang related crime in Salt Lake City.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Also, what areas are these crimes taking place? What part of Glendale?
I would have to map them out, but it's within the Glendale Community Council area. So it's not just the whole, west side south of I-80. So it's the Glendale Community Council area itself.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Detective, for being here.
You bet. I'm going to put my number back in the chat just because it's been a while. So if you have any questions, concerns, feel free to reach out.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, before we have one final item of business, before we turn to that, just wanted to remind folks that our September meeting and our October meeting will both be in person at the library, and we will be providing food at both of those meetings. So we look forward to seeing you in person at our next 2 meetings. The last item that we have on our agenda is we have a volunteer who stepped up to volunteer to be our webmaster. If you have followed the saga of our webmaster position, we have, Jenny has been staying on as an interim webmaster essentially for the last several months. We had another person that was elected as webmaster after Jenny finished up in January, but he had to step away due to personal issues. And so we've got Sagan Gottberg, who has volunteered to serve as our webmaster. I'd like to have Sagan introduce themselves, and then we have to do a motion in a second. So I'll make the motion, and then we'll have a board member do a second. We're going to do this by acclamation, just because this is a position that we have been trying to fill for months. We're very excited about Sagan, and we hope to fill it tonight so that we can have some additional support on our email newsletters, our social media, and our website. That's primarily what our webmaster does. So I will talk a little bit more about upcoming elections that we've got coming up, but I want to turn it over to Sagan, and we'll handle this business first.
Awesome. Well, hello, I am Sagan. I just moved into the neighborhood maybe 3 months ago, and I wanted to get involved in the community council. And then when Turner said that there was a webmaster position opened, I was like, well, maybe it's time. So I'm currently a student at the University of Utah getting my master's in architecture, so all things design. So it just kind of fit really well to I don't know, step up and do the webmaster thing. So I'm excited. It'll be fun.
Thank you. Well, with that, I would like to make a motion that we elect Sagan to the board in the position of webmaster. Just as a reminder, Sagan is filling technically a partial term since we're 6 months into the year. So this position would be up for re-election in, gotta do the math in my head, 2026, January of 2026. So it's a 2-year term. With that, can I ask one of our board members to second the motion, Sarah or Jenny?
I second the motion. Welcome,
you.
Sagan.
Thank you. With that, I'll just call for all residents. I'm going to move that we elect Sagan by acclamation. Is there any objection to that? All right. Thank you, Sagan. I appreciate it. We're glad to have you on board. I also love your cat glasses. I think they're very cute. Last thing, just a couple of updates. Again, we're going to be back in person September and October. I am nearing the end of my term as the chair. So in January of 2025, that's when our next council elections are scheduled. And just as a reminder, we follow a 3-2-1 model. So our chair serves a 3-year term. That would begin January 1st, or the first meeting in January of 2025, and that would run till 2028. And then our other officers, which are a vice chair, a secretary, a treasurer, and a webmaster, serve a 2-year term. And then we have 7 at-large board positions. So those board positions are folks like Sarah and Jennifer, who serve a 1-year term and help lead our different committees that the board has established. So if you're interested in getting involved, we'd love to have you on a committee. We'd love to have you join as an officer or one of our board members. The next opportunity to do so will be in January. So if you're interested, please reach out. We can get you involved in a committee now. We have a full board for the first time in a couple of years that we're very excited about. And in January, we will elect a new chair and new officers to lead the council for the next couple of years. So if you're interested, please come to our January meeting. It will also be in person at the Glendale Library, and we'll see you in September. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.